North Korea has probably developed the capability to put nuclear devices on ballistic missiles.
Protesters raging for nearly 2 months.
Colorado reported more than 2,000 new cases of the coronavirus today.
Quiet, secluded, off the grid. Important elements survivalist communities search for.
I'm pretty darn confident I'll survive.
Hidden within towering pines, Fortitude Ranch fits the bill.
But we can withstand any kind of collapse, whatever the cause is, a pandemic, loss of the electric system, massive food losses worldwide, whatever the trigger event is, we can survive a collapse and keep our members alive for years.
Drew Miller runs this ranch and the labyrinth of tunnels beneath it.
We're basically 3 feet underground, so it's metal above us and 3 feet of earth about that.
Scattered throughout the ranch, you'll find common rooms, a bar, and bedrooms ranging from private comforts to plywood bunks, which cost about $1,000 a year, not to mention a cache of supplies.
Inside here we've got antibiotics, bandages.
But what good is having it all if you can't defend it?
And this is just one of our weapon stockpiles. We've got another one in another one of our buildings. So 12 gauge pump shotgun, it's reliable. Most of our shooting, if we are harassed by marauders, is going to be short range.
Having a myriad of ammo isn't only good for protection either.
So all these people have left, the Front Range and other big cities, and they're up in the mountains, and they want to do some bartering and trade with us. The most valuable thing we can trade with is ammo.
In good times, they serve members as a vacation spot. In the event of a catastrophe, they kick into high gear.
The reality is we'd be able to go as long as we need to. We grow food, we hunt, we fish, and then we've got so much stockpiled food that we'd be able to survive.
Miller says membership is on the rise. Because of that, he's expanding and building more rooms.
The vast majority of people just assume, day-to-day things are going to be functioning just fine. Preppers for decades have been aware of this and have been preparing. We're not fearful. We don't have to worry.
Are the takers here paranoid survivalists or just overly prepared? Given a year like 2020, either mindset seems a bit more rational. Ivan Rodriguez, Denver 7.
I am a singer, performer, rhythm and blues, kind of folky stuff.
And when Tim Irvin was looking for inspiration for his next big song, he didn't have to look very far.
It's a story it's just an amazing story. There's a beautiful hand-painted portrait that has hung in our family home since before I was born.
An old painting in an old frame.
This is the portrait.
A portrait of Lawrence Irvin.
It most certainly is my father.
How it came to be, well, I'll let Tim tell it.
My dad told me this story about how in World War II, he was stationed in Cherbourg, France. He wound up being stationed in this prisoner of war camp where he met and befriended a young German soldier.
An artist named Friedrich, who had been forced to join the German army against his will. An artist unable to do what he loved.
So Lawrence dressed Friedrich in his spare American Red Cross captain's uniform, and the two of them jumped in a Jeep, drove through the gates.
The story goes the pair went into town, bought art supplies, and returned to the prison camp.
Friedrich, to show his gratitude, painted Lawrence's portrait.
A thank you in oil paint and canvas.
I think, he just wanted to show his gratitude for a moment of freedom, as they say.
That portrait enough to inspire a son.
We all are given gifts to call our own.
To write.
Special skills we need to hone.
And tell that story.
A painter paints, a singer shares his song.
The best way he knows how.
The truth as old as time to pass along.
Through rhyme and narration.
To show his gratitude, Friedrich painted Lawrence's portrait.
3/4 of a century after it happened.
It kind of shows that even though there's a war going on, people can feel a oneness and a similarity that overtakes all that.
And when he sings the song about the portrait of his dad and how it came to be,
I think about my father. There's no doubt about it. And the fact that he did this and came out smelling like a rose.
a tale we might all take some inspiration from.
A simple friendship calms the winds of war.
Isn't that the point of art, after all?
An image on the wall will tell the tale forevermore. Josh is nodding his head.
This is usually the extent of Harrison Spires' travels for the day.
That's where he gets to go.
From couch to wheelchair, but not much further. His rare genetic condition simply won't allow for it. We first told you Harrison's story earlier this year. His family wanting to give their son a sense of normalcy, of independence, through an adaptive bicycle. So on behalf of Denver 7 Gives, I'd like to present you this check
Holy
for
cow.
$6,000.
Oh my gosh.
Denver 7 Gives viewers raised enough money to make that a reality.
You could get your bike gauge.
Yes.
Now, this wheelchair in this kitchen isn't the end of the H-Man's road. Far from it. Because now, Harrison has his own bike to ride.
Like he finally gets to experience that childhood dream of riding a bicycle.
And he's not shy about how much he likes it.
Yay! Ecstatic, giggly, happier than I've seen him in a long time.
But that's what I do it for. Oh my, are you kidding me? That's the whole point. Slow down.
Riding loops through his neighborhood cul-de-sacs.
I remember riding bikes with my kids, and this kid didn't get to go. That's different now.
And the man up front has a preferred speed. All of this thanks to the generosity of total strangers.
I am so grateful to those people that thought this young man needs something fun to do and something normal to do, and I, from the bottom of my heart, am so grateful.
Harrison's family says there are a lot of things he wants to do, a lot fewer that he can do. This is now one of those cans.
Your hands went down. What happened? We're just going too slow?
Yes. He has a hard life. He doesn't get to do a lot of things. And it's so special to see him just happy, like pure happy and joyful.
I'm Jason Grenauer.
Go!
Denver 7.
Oh, yeah!
How do you like them apples?
Good Will Hunting, Pulp Fiction, English Patient, Silver Linings Playbook, Kill Bill. All these beloved movies were made by Harvey Weinstein. The man on trial for rape, the man accused of predatory sexual abuse, assault, and coercion by more than 80 women. The man whose alleged actions launched the global Me Too movement.
What do they call it?
They call it Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
That's right.
Weinstein's power in Hollywood until very recently was nearly unmatched. He founded Miramax Films and produced 200-plus movies that won 81 Oscars.
I don't think it could be underestimated to say how much of an impact Harvey Weinstein had over his 40-year career.
If Weinstein is the monstrous serial abuser he's accused of being, can we, should we, still enjoy his movies? Can you separate the artist from the art?
I think you can separate artists from their art, but I think that you can't watch it without acknowledging that the person who created that is responsible for some horrible things.
Can you still enjoy the movies knowing what we now know about Harvey Weinstein?
Yes. No.
Yes and no, I guess. Yeah, I don't really think about that he was behind them.
Dr. April Alexander is a psychologist at the University of Denver who works with sex offenders and their victims.
Some people can separate work from or art from life, and others can't.
Actresses in Weinstein films are among his accusers.
By not separating those two, is thinking about what are we communicating to survivors of these acts? That we don't believe them, that these individuals can go on and make more money off of their abuse.
That's a question Hollywood filmmaker Trey Cartwright thinks about a lot. She teaches screenwriting at CU Denver. Because of Weinstein, her classes regularly discuss the bad behavior in Hollywood and the power of ethical movie fans.
We certainly want to encourage everybody to be a responsible consumer, that if they don't feel like they can support somebody who has done terrible things in our world, then don't give them your money.
That doesn't mean that I will not watch it.
This young woman has a more nuanced take. She's a survivor of sexual assault. She asked us to conceal her identity.
I think that trying to separate the art from the artist is the wrong goal to have, but that doesn't mean that the art can no longer be seen or no longer enjoyed.
She believes we should instead be working toward a world where our entertainment's not made by terrible people.
I think that the goal should be a future where those people aren't allowed to be in those positions of power and be respected when they're committing those things, and I think we are moving towards that future.
But she says she also understands this is the art we have now, so be considerate when enjoying it.
The survivors of these people may experience trauma every single time they experience the art of this person. I think that doesn't mean you can't watch that movie or you can't love Michael Jackson's music, but it's wrong to just ignore that that's also there.
She makes a good point. I mean, this is the art we have, and it is easier said than done to just quit the stuff made by the bad guys. I mean, Les Moonves is behind Friends. Of course, Michael Jackson's music is still everywhere. Norman Mailer wrote 11 bestsellers. He tried to kill his wife. And you go back further, Gauguin was a pedophile, Degas an anti-Semite, Caravaggio killed a man, and on and on. So where do you draw the line?
Wendy Curtis owns Denver's Comedy Works comedy clubs. In November 2018, representatives for comedian Louis C.K., who a year before admitted to sexual misconduct, asked if Louis could perform at her club during his comeback tour.
I had to think long and hard about it.
Before she made the decision, she reached out to one of Louis' victims.
And I said, how would this make you feel if you saw him at my club?
After what she heard, she told Louis no. Other clubs around the country did book him.
I couldn't look myself in the mirror and do that. I'm sure I could do it and make a lot of money and be sold out in about 30 minutes. It just wasn't something that I felt like I could do.
So are these artists dead to us forever? Dr. Alexander believes that should be decided by whether there was justice for the victims.
Those who have served their sentences, have made amends, can we accept them back into our culture and society? Well, if we're going for restorative justice, which is having a person accept accountability for their actions, then yes, if that person did make amends, let's bring them back into our popular culture.
Curtis has similar feelings about Louis C.K., whom she considers a friend. With enough time and the right apology, she says he should be let back in.
I think that he needs to fess up, and he needs to say, I'm sorry. And he needs to be part of the change. And he could very easily be part of the change.
Maybe to you, the art is its own thing, independent of the artist. Or maybe art and artist are inseparable. Or maybe, try as we may, art makes hypocrites of us all. But for those who try to be ethical consumers, mindful of the victims, take heart. You are part of the change that's already happening. And a kinder, more aware society may be your masterpiece.